Ali Kohli. Now from Davos, Switzerland, US President Donald Trump has announced a framework of a future deal on Greenland following talks with NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte. The agreement covering Greenland and the broader Arctic region led Trump to drop his threatened tariffs on 8 European countries, set to begin on February 1st. He ruled out military force and described it as a long-term arrangement focused on Arctic security, missile defense and critical minerals. Details remain limited, with NATO noting much work ahead and Danish sovereignty over Greenland unaffected in discussions. With that, let's take a look at what the EU gets from this deal and what does US get from it. So let me show you that, viewers. Now, US-EU Greenland deal. Let's talk about what the EU gets and what US gets, of course. So let's talk about what US gets first. So let's discuss that. Now, the integration. Can we have the slide back, please? All right. Now, the expanded US military presence and basing rights in Greenland. What EU gets? Immediate de-escalation. Trump drops the February 1 tariff threat. Can we have the next slide? All right. Now, integration of Greenland into Trump's proposed Golden Dome missile defense system is what the US gets, viewers. And now what EU gets? No use of military force. Now what US gets is better access to Greenland's critical minerals and resources, and what the EU gets is preservation of Danish sovereignty over Greenland as a whole. Let's look at now what the US gets again. Now the avoidance of immediate transatlantic rupture while claiming a win. And this, of course, focuses on enhanced NATO military cooperation. That, of course, viewers, is what we've discussed with you. And now let me go across to Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta, former diplomat, joining me on the broadcast. And I also have Shruti Dasgupta, foreign affairs expert. I want to go across first to Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta. Ambassador Gupta, welcome. And I want to begin by asking you, how do you feel about this entire deal?
I was telling last night that Trump will have his way. He will finally get Greenland in some way or the other. So I think the EU did not have enough teeth to stand up to him, and they have finally agreed to negotiate. The negotiations will be carried out during the next few weeks, and I'm sure they will either work out a long-term lease, 99 or 100-year lease, or it would be an outright transfer to United States. I think that Trump was determined, and I was absolutely sure that he will have his way, because he wants to record his name in the history of US as acquisition should happen in his time, and like the previous the presidents have also been named in terms of Alaska and also control over Mexico. So he wanted to have that. Other things were, I think, secondary. I don't think the rare earth is a very serious issue right now, because there's a lot of ice on that thing. But yes, ice will melt slowly with climate change, and things will improve in the coming decades. And also strategically, he wants to control this, because it will enable him to control the entire Arctic region and the Europe as well as Latin America. So this is his strategy, and I think he has been able to what you can call rummage through the entire process, and has succeeded in his efforts.
All right, I want to go across to Shruti Dasgupta. She's a foreign affairs expert. Shruti, when you look at this overall, it does feel like this is a very broad kind of an undefined framework that we're talking about. So how unusual is it for such a sensitive issue like Greenland and Arctic to be discussed in this way?
Well, Greenland and Arctic to be discussed in this way is something which would have been a foregone conclusion the minute the Golden Dome was discussed by Trump because he needs access to particular zones to ensure that kind of protection that he has been talking about for USA to be put in place. So it is not unusual that he did take up Greenland. In fact, he would take up more, I think, in the days to come. And we will see a larger problem appearing in the name of Trumpism and Trump as such. But what he threatened tariffs, and then the EU decided to put a freeze on the trade deal. But now they've come to a new framework as such between the NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte and President Donald Trump. They kind of set out what they actually truly wanted, which we've been hinting at for the days to come, in the days past and the days to come. This is what is going to happen. They are going to take away small pockets of Greenland where US is going to establish their bases, and it's going to be completely sovereign under US, not Denmark. While Denmark continues to control the rest of its territory, these particular bases, where new bases as well as the old one will come into complete direct control of USA, and that is what you wanted. So it may sound unusual to us, but in 1917, when they decided to sell the Virgin Islands to USA, when Alaska was sold off in the 1800s, I'm sure this kind of imperial mindset still exists in the heads of these powers. And that is why they're able to sit on in AC rooms, in chairs and chambers, and discuss the future of the people of the land, where 85% do not want anything to do with USA, despite what the EU wants, what Denmark wants, or even what USA wants. So for me, it is not surprising. It is not even perplexing. This is how they've already always looked at words, my land and your land, what I have, what you have, rather than people and their own right of self-determination and self-authority.
Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta, I'm coming to you now. You know, NATO says that there is still a lot of work ahead. So what would the next diplomatic steps typically look like after a framework announcement?
You see, I don't think there's a great work to be done. Basically, the terms of reference, how it would be handed over to US, will be worked out. How the, what you call either long-term lease or outright transfer will happen, and how NATO will also have its own base in that dome, the so-called Golden Dome. It would be perhaps on behalf of the NATO countries, so that NATO will also get protection from that dome. So that would be a sort of attraction for all the NATO countries to agree. And that is what I feel. I don't think there would be any more complications in this. It is very straightforward deal, and in the next few weeks you will see the negotiations will work out. All the ifs and buts will go away, and US will have virtual control. It may not have what you call judicial or sovereign control, but it will have practical control over the entire Greenland area, and they will start putting up their own bases in that, and that will also cover the NATO countries and the entire Europe, in addition to the American continent.
All right, I want to go across now to Shruti Das Gupta. Now, Shruti, you know, what message, according to you, does this send to non-NATO Arctic stakeholders?
Well, who are the other non-NATO Arctic stakeholders? Russia. They've already stated very plainly that because of the Virgin Island deal, there's already precedence for something like this, and they have decided to stay out of it. They have maintained a very stay afar from such kind of a deal. So I believe they would have already decided that this is the path they're going to follow. The other one would be Canada. They're already leaning towards China, and Carney has been put on the pinned on the board by Trump in his latest speech in Davos. So it shows that they are pretty much aware that there is going to be a political push and pull that is happening there. And the other nations, as long as they are NATO, they feel quite comfortable. The non-NATO ones understand that there is a bigger lion in the sea now, or maybe the bigger whale or maybe the bigger shark in the sea now, and that is USA under Trump, and they are unable to do anything about it. There is no other foreign power that is going to stand for them, whether it is inside the Arctic zone or outside. So for me, I understand that USA has done what it wanted. They wanted control of the bases. They wanted complete exclusive access, minerals, critical minerals as we've spoken, other important assets of Greenland will be only accessible probably to NATO nations or USA. Russia and China will be edged out in those particular zones. What they will be controlling, though, would be the Arctic Maritime Route, the GIUK path, where a lot of trade in the days to come is going to happen because the Arctic ice is melting 4 times faster than the rest of the world. So this is what is happening. This is more of control of trade, economy, as well as establishing military bases and controlling the resources of the world. This is the new economic imperialism that we are watching, and the non-NATO nations need to now stand together, form a better alliance, have each other's backs, because unfortunately, as of now, only NATO is a nation which has a strategic partnership, at least defense-wise, that can hold each other up, which is formidable enough for Trump to actually go in and fight tooth and nail to get access to Greenland. Otherwise, had it just been Greenland alone, without the NATO umbrella on it, he would have probably walked all over it, just like he did in Venezuela.
All right, and with that, I'd like to thank both my guests for joining me on the broadcast.